The hot potatoing of who was going to be the next Rangers manager is finally over. Was it going to be Steven Gerrard? Was it not going to be Steven Gerrard? There was rumours he was going to be back in again. There's obviously rumours about why Steven Gerrard didn't end up taking the job. One is the tax situation with Saudi. And then the other was Kevin Farewell. And then with Muscat, it was like, was he or wasn't he? Or we're going to have to wait until until he finished up his season in China, because he's obviously trying to win back-to-back titles, which is to be commended. But in my opinion, Rangers couldn't really afford to wait. So that ended up falling through as well. Partly, again, either because Rangers wanted him in right away, or he wasn't happy about not having the same recruitment. Now, Danny Rohl was someone who was linked with, I don't know if that's how you say his name. If it's not, I apologise. He was someone that was linked with the job in the summer before Russell Martin got it. I don't know if he was interviewed in the summer or not. I believe that possibly Rangers were going to have to pay compensation for him, because at the time he was still Sheffield Wednesday manager. But with the situation going on there, I mean, they're actually looking like they could be wound up, which is crazy for a club of that size. I know they're not like the biggest club, but I mean they're a big club in their own right. And obviously they're the rivals of Sheffield United, who have been the more successful team in the last. Yeah, well, successful, yeah. I mean, Sheffield United would have won some of these playoff trophies, and some league titles as well. So yeah, Sheffield United will have been the more successful since back to when Sheffield Wednesday were a Premier League team. Anyway, I kind of feel like I'm sort of rambling a bit. So again, it was kind of like hot potato him as well. It was like it looked like he was going to be appointed, and then he kind of pulled out the race, and there was a talk about Muscat. And yeah, so I mean, here we are. Danny Rohl is the new Rangers manager. Was he first choice? No. I was very outspoken when I spoke about him the last time. Now, in terms of his coaching credentials, now this is different from his as a manager. As a manager, he's only managed at one club, Sheffield Wednesday. In terms of his coaching credentials, he has coached at a very high level. He has been a coach at Bayern Munich, at Leipzig, and he was assistant manager for Germany. So they're very high credentials, and we've seen, for example, Brighton, they got their manager Hertzler. I mean, okay, he did brilliant with St. Pauli, but similar sort of age. And you look at some of the managers that have come out of Germany. I mean, what I'm trying to kind of say is it's not necessarily a like for like with Russell Martin. I mean, the big concern would be is he been brought in as to be a yes man for Kevin Farewell? I mean, I would hope not. I would hope that he'd be able to maybe try and kind of use the connections that he has got in Germany to maybe try and see if there's players that we can get. When I talk about the Bundesliga, I'm not talking about players that are playing week in, week out for Bayer Leverkusen or Borussia Dortmund, but it's like the French league. There's plenty of talent out there. You've just got to kind of have a look, or there's players that are kind of on the fringes. Like we've got Malik Tillman, for example, on loan from Bayern Munich. I mean, look at him now. There's players like that. We need to get away from looking at the English Championship and England in general, because you're paying a very high price for players that are pretty sort of bang average. High price and high wages. When if you look in the kind of continent, you can get better players for less money and less wages. And then, of course, you can be looking closer to home and look at some of the players that are in the league. Now, managerial-wise, he's only managed at Sheffield Wednesday, which isn't credentials to be the Rangers manager. Michael Beale didn't have the credentials to be Rangers manager either. He was the first team coach for Steven Gerrard when he was manager, and he was obviously then managing at QPR for a short period of time, and was doing very well there. But it was a short period of time, because he obviously followed Gerrard to Aston Villa along with Gary McAllister. Steven Gerrard didn't have the credentials to manage Rangers, but Steven Gerrard had, because he was Steven Gerrard, had connections. He could get a certain level of player to Rangers. He could actually work that English market pretty well because he was Steven Gerrard. Danny Rohl was in a very, very difficult situation Sheffield Wednesday, and I don't know the kind of ins and outs of it, but I'm led to believe that he overachieved by keeping them in the division. Their team, with just the financial situation, is just abysmal. He wasn't the first choice, but he wants to be here, wants to be the manager. So we need to get behind him. I'm certainly behind him, and I hope he's going to be the right man and can do the job we need him to do. The big concern at Rangers is still that Kevin Fowler and Patrick Stewart are still in the building, but I think that's going to be a period of time with them. It's not going to be sort of overnight, unfortunately. I mean, they probably got clad iron contracts, so they can't just be gotten rid of so easily. Or if they can, they're going to be a lot of money. And between getting rid of Russell Martin, paying him forever, I think he was a 3-year deal or something, and bringing Danny Rohl in, I mean, that's another 10 million easily from removing him on and his staff and then bringing in Danny Rohl and bringing in his staff. So I don't know if he's going to be in charge for the game on Thursday. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, I mean, I guess we just kind of see what happens and see how it goes. I mean, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for him. It wasn't going to be easy for Kevin Muscat if he came in though, because this team needs a lot of work. I mean, look at it defensively; it's terrible. The first half against Dundee United, you were seeing something to kind of work with. They were actually creating chances and were looking positive. The second half was just diabolical though. So whoever came in, it wasn't going to be easy. I mean, they're not got a transfer window till January, and I'd imagine with the money that's been spent, unless you can move certain players on, there's not going to be a great deal of money available in January either, because there's this thing called financial fair play. So it's going to be difficult for him. So we need to try and get behind him, and hopefully, unlike when Russell Martin was at the club, we can actually see something. We can see something that he's kind of done that kind of gives us something to kind of hold on to. We can maybe see that he's getting the best out of the forward players. We can maybe see that the team's better defensively, or controls games better, because Rangers don't control games. That's a huge problem. I'm not saying he'll do all these things, but I'm saying we need to give him the opportunity to kind of do that. He's here to be the manager, and unless obviously he has a really bad start and has bad result after bad result, I mean, he'll be here until the end of the season at least. So I wish him luck. I mean, I hope he does well for us. I don't know. I don't know a lot about him as a manager. I don't know about his style of play. I don't know. Again, it's another manager from the Championship, which, again, credential-wise is disappointing, but we've just got to kind of see. And it'll be interesting to see if he is in charge for Thursday. But yeah, Danny Rohl is a new Rangers manager. So yeah, we'll see how he gets on with his first game in